Hello, welcome. Today's practice is a yin yoga practice. In yin yoga, we spend a little bit longer in each posture, so we'll be in each position for a few minutes. And the intention is to let the muscles of the body soften and relax so that we can access the deeper layers of the body, so the connective tissues, fascia, joints. And yin is a lovely practice to do anytime that you want to really slow down and invites us to feel into the body, notice the sensations, and to be with our experience as it is without needing things to be any different. So it's really mindful practice. And you can do this practice first thing in the morning when you wake up. If the body's feeling a little bit tight, it can be really lovely. And it's also lovely to do in the evening when you're winding down before bedtime. So it'd be good to have a few props. I recommend having a couple of yoga blocks. If you don't have those, you could use a few books stacked up instead. And it's always handy to have a blanket, maybe a cushion for a bit of padding and to sit on. And if you have a yoga bolster, you might have that too. If you don't have one, don't worry. You could use some cushions or pillows from the bed instead. So we'll start moving into our first posture now, which will be a seated butterfly. And you might like to sit on something for this. You might sit on your folded blanket or your cushion. You could even have a couple to sit on, just to give the pelvis a little bit of height and support. And then bending your knees, drop the knees open, taking the soles of your feet together. And rather than having the feet in really close to the body, I'd recommend sliding the feet a little bit away so you have more of this diamond shape between the heels and the pelvis. And then you might stay upright, or if it feels okay, you might start to fold forwards over the legs. And the area we're focusing our attention here is the outer hips and maybe into the back body as well. So you might feel sensation around the outer hips or thighs, maybe the backs of the legs, maybe up into the back. And you can let your head hang here, or you might use your blocks under your head for support. Or you might lie your body onto a bolster. So there's no right or wrong way to do this. It's really about what works for your body. So take a few moments to find that. I really like this option with the bolster on the feet and the block on top of it for the forehead. And once you've found your version of the posture, giving yourself a few moments to really drop and settle into it. Notice where you can feel the sensations in the body. And what kind of sensations are they? Just bringing a little curious attention to what you can feel right now. Allowing the awareness to rest there. Do you notice anywhere in the body where there might be a little bit of holding or tension? Can you bring some Gentle attention to that. There's nothing you need to fix or change. Just noticing how things are right now as you settle into this pose. Allowing space for the body to gradually soften, being supported by the props, by the ground. Just a few more breaths here. And then very slowly begin to move back up out of the pose. You can just place any props to the side. Just sitting for a moment, extend the legs out and pause here. Maybe closing the eyes. And notice what you can feel in the body. Tuning into any sensations. Maybe noticing the breath. And from here, we'll move into our next posture. We'll remain seated, this time bringing the legs out into a wide V. So if you're sitting on your supports, just maybe moving the flesh away from the sitting bones and moving right to the edge of the cushion that you're on, so that it's just the edge of the pelvis, the sitting bones on the cushion, rather than the backs of the thighs. This is going to help us sit a little bit more forward. And from here, you take the hands to the mat in front of you and start to gently fold forwards. And it doesn't need to be a very deep fold. It's likely you'll still feel it. So the wider the legs go, the more into the inner hips we'll feel this. And you might feel it into the backs of the legs, into the hamstrings as well. So you could have the hands or forearms down and let the head hang. Or once again, you could use your props, maybe your bolster or your pillows under your body. You could place a block under your forehead. So just play around with the props and see what supports you to let your body really soften and drop into this. And once you've found that, starting to settle into it, can you notice what sensations you're feeling here? And where in the body can you feel it? our intention is to feel sensations in the body at a level that we can be with for a little bit of time. So noticing if you need to adjust the pose, adjust your body in the pose. Either to feel a little more sensation or to move back from it a little bit if the sensation is too intense. Finding that Goldilocks position that's just right for you. How is it now after a bit more time here? You still feeling the sensations in the same area, in the same way? Or has anything changed? Just a few more breaths here. And then slowly start to move back up out of the pose. Move any props aside off your mat. Coming off your cushion, bringing the legs in. And from here, come to lie down. So coming into this rebound position. So a little pause between poses to feel into the body. You might notice some sensations, maybe some tingling or vibration, or a sense of energy moving in the body. You might not notice anything in particular, and that's something to be aware of too. Maybe you notice the breath. And how is it now compared to when you first lay down? So from here we'll move to a supported bridge. So if you have your blocks nearby, grab one of them. And if you don't have blocks, again, you could use books here, or you could use stacked up folded blankets. Bending both knees, feet to your mat, Lift your hips up just enough to be able to slide your block or whatever support you're using in underneath the back of your pelvis. And check that that's not under the lower back, it's under the solid part of the back of the pelvis. And you might extend one leg out, resting the heel down, and maybe both legs. So our area of attention here is the lower back, where there's a little bit of compression, so you might feel some sensation there. We're also lengthening down the front of the hips, so you might feel that up the front of the thighs, the front of the pelvis, up into the lower belly. So that might be plenty of sensation. Or if it's not very much for you, you could bend up the knees and add a little bit more height. Now, and a second yoga block can be quite high, so you might gradually build it up, maybe putting a cushion or folded blanket underneath the pelvis on top of the block, and see how that feels. Generally, the higher up the support, the deeper into the compression in the lower back and the tension in the front of the body that we go. So just see how that feels for you. Everybody is different. Every person will feel this differently. So really tuning into your body and finding the version that works for you. And once you've found that, maybe letting the eyes softly close, allowing the body to really settle into it. Is there anywhere in the body that might be able to soften and release a little more? Trusting the support from the props and the ground beneath. Where is the attention at the moment? If you notice that it's started to wander away, if the mind has become busy with thoughts, in that moment of awareness, you could gently return to what you can feel here in this moment. These sensations, this breath. How is it now after a bit more time here? What are you aware of in your experience right at this moment? Just a few remaining breaths here. And to slowly come out of the pose, you can bend the knees, placing your feet on the mat, and just lift the hips enough so that you can slide the props out from underneath you. And gently lower the pelvis back to the mat, extending out the legs. And just feel what you can feel here, lying on your mat. You can allow the body to really soften here. Maybe closing the eyes. Allowing the ground to support your body. Noticing the breath. Feel free to rest here for longer. And we'll close our practice here. Thank you for joining me. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow.